I thought she did a great job in the movie. One of the things I hate about movies is if it gives you, like, I hate the predictability of movies. I love movies. Maybe I just watch too many movies, or maybe I'm like movie intuitive. I have no idea. Because like I'll be watching a movie with my wife and I'm going to be like, this person did it. This is how this movie's going to end, kind of thing. And then when it happens, she's like, how did you know? I'm like, it just seemed like the most obvious.
Seen that.
Yeah, the most obvious thing is going to happen. And I hate that. You know, I've heard that's the criticism of the new Aquaman movie. I mean, I haven't seen it, but you sort of expected it to be just like a lot of money, a lot of graphical CGI. I mean, it's a DC movie. You weren't expecting anything really all that great anyway, but everyone just says it's as predictable as it can be. You know, you watch the trailer, you know exactly what's going to happen. Right. The twist, all of the, you know, it's just predictable. I didn't think Bird Box was predictable at all. In fact, I didn't think it was going to end the way it did. I didn't think it was going to, I just assumed it was going to be more of a horror film with like these monsters, like, you know, I didn't think it was going to be like the scariest thing was how my imagination works. And I feel like it uses your imaginations to be scary, almost like old Hitchcock films used to do, you know? Yeah. And it's like not even seeing the thing that you're so horrified to see almost can be more scary than whatever monster type thing you try to put flesh to it. You know what I mean?
Well, you're right. It wasn't predictable. I mean, I thought the movie actually was very predictable.
You just said the same thing twice, like the opposite in the same sentence.
What I needed to clarify was that I think the movie was very predictable, but I was expecting something different from before I watched it until after I watched it, right? But during the movie, I felt like the movie just followed a formula that every time this one scene happened, I knew what was going to happen in the next scene. So predictability-wise...
Well, I mean, the movie started in the present and then jumped to the past. So you sort of knew where it was going to end up. You knew it was just her and the kids in the boat alone. Right. From the very beginning of the movie.
So when they went back, I knew everybody was going to die.
Right, which was almost by design. I mean, it wasn't like intuitive. You just knew that she was the only one left. And as soon as you saw that pregnant woman come into the house, you knew that was, I mean, at least I did. I mean, you knew that was the other kid.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't think that wasn't like you only knew that because the movie showed you that.
Right.
You know, so I mean.
You still didn't know at this time, like, which kid was hers yet.
Right. And you didn't. You know. And you still to this day have no idea what the hell is out there.
No, you don't.
You have no idea. Thank you.
But the predictability wise is...
You thought for sure you would have some clarity on what the hell you were running from.
Right.
But you have nothing.
So, for example, a guy comes into the house. One character's like, no, this person has to leave the house, absolutely. And he puts his foot down. Then the house turns on that person that wants the guy out the house. And then the guy that came in the house ends up being a bad guy and the guy was right. That follows this thriller formula to a T. That's what I meant by predictability. Like you knew this guy was bad. You knew this guy was good. You knew this guy was gonna die. You knew this guy like before it even happened, which kind of stunk, you know.
Well, I mean, first of all, I think it was a short-lived scene there, but I didn't have that same thought necessarily. Granted, I had to watch the movie. It was my idea to watch this movie in the first place. And like, it was very difficult finding time to watch because I couldn't watch it with my wife or my son.
Yeah. So like I had to watch the beginning of the movie and then I had to watch the middle of the movie while on the treadmill at the gym, which was, which we'll get to later. But anyway, so I'm like watching it. And then like at one point I noticed the person next to me on the treadmill was like watching my screen. And I'm like, man, I hope there's like any awkward moments in this movie. But they probably knew what I was watching. But anyway. All right. So let's jump into our thoughts on the movie. Like we've kind of, I feel
we
like
talked
we're just
about
kind
it
of skimming
in broad.
over it.
Yeah, but we'll talk about it.
Let's go. And we're going to try and go in chronological order. I did not preface this before the podcast started, so maybe I'll do this beforehand. But I'm going to do I need to do a spoiler alert.
Oh,
Big time on this.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the movie.
So, spoiler alert.
Listen to me. You're going on the trip now. It's going to be rough. If you hear something in the woods, you tell me. If you hear something in the water, you tell me. But under no circumstance are you allowed to
Dude, that is like the beginning of the movie, and I was like, okay, I'm hooked. Like, I'm terrified and hooked at the same time. What the heck is going on? Like, you have no idea what's happening.
So, one of the things that really, I kind of was like, ooh, kudos to you, Netflix. I felt like the OBGYN was very pro-life. You know, there's the scene where she's doing the ultrasound, and you can tell, like, Mallory is just not into it at all. You know, she's like, whatever, this condition that I have. And her sister's like, yeah, it's called pregnancy. It's not a condition, you know. And so the doctor's like, well, you know, there's other options. Like, there's other ways that you can handle this. And I was like, oh, great. You're just going to bring up the same stuff, you know, that they always bring up. And I was thoroughly surprised when she was like,
adoption is an option.
Adoption is an option.
Well, yeah, I thought that was a nice scene, like talking to her about that. But I also felt like the issue, like one of the main issues was sort of like her like disconnecting and like from the very beginning, she was painting that image, right? And it was like, oh, look at all these lonely people. They're all disconnected from each other. Like, and like this like idea of like her being afraid. Like I was like, I wrote down my questions were like, is she afraid of being a mom, or is she afraid of not being a good mom? Is she afraid this kid's not going to love her? Like, she's afraid of this child, though she's like, you can tell she's sort of like, she's having the child, first of all. So it's like, she wants the child, but she's afraid of it. And she's right. Like, you know, and you can tell like she's got that in her own life. She's guarded, doesn't have a lot of close friendships, just her sister and her, you know, family or whatever. Yeah. So I definitely feel like that is like a theme here, you know, and it almost like kind of can model sometimes the things that mothers are going through or pregnant women are going through, you know, in pregnancy, or like men too. I mean, men have a tendency sometimes to be the ones that are like Mallory in the sense of they kind of disassociate from the pregnancy until they see the baby and hold the baby. And like there was a line they said, they were like, it's hard to love someone you haven't met yet, you know? And I was thinking like how like on a deeper level, like it's hard to love people when you don't know them in like a real sort of intimate way, like in a friendship type, like, you know, in our society, we're so like kind of superficial in the way we communicate, like through technologies and whatever. And when all that's stripped away, you know, like how are you still able to connect to another human being? You know what I mean? So I feel like that was sort of a theme in the movie that is certainly something to reflect upon in your own life. It's just kind of like how you connect to people and like disassociate relationships with other people and keep a distance, and how lonely that can be if that's what you do with your whole life. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
You don't have those types of like deep connections and stuff like that. So
what was the hook for you?
I mean, the hook for me was the first scene where she's like telling the kids, do not take off your blindfolds. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what is out there? You know? So
did you see any previews for it?
I only watched like barely part of a preview.
Okay.
So cause one, I hate trailers that give away anything about a movie. And I realize the whole point of a trailer is to tell you something about a movie so you go watch it. But like, if I want to see a movie, I love going and seeing a movie blind.
So I kind of saw that within the trailer. So that wasn't the hook for me. The hook for me was the first suicide attempt with the lady in the hospital.
Oh yeah.
You know
where she was just banging her head against
Mallory
the window.
walks in to go to the OBGYN, and she sees this lady. She's talking on the phone, and you know, I can't remember if she gives her a smile or something like that.
She was like real happy, yeah.
And then when Mallory leaves, she starts like banging her head on the wall, this lady, or on the window, to try and end it all. But she knew in that point that something was up, and she knew the stuff from Russia that she saw in the video came over.
You know, when I read that's what I did. I read the info, you know, the description of the movie on Netflix. And so it said like when all these people start committing suicide, I thought the movie was going to have something to do with suicide, when really it doesn't. Even though everyone does kill themselves, they're being like mind controlled.
Correct.
Right. So it really didn't have anything to do with really like suicide and fighting the urge to end it.
I don't think it was suicide in the definition of suicide as much as it was
right. It was
the
just
way
like
this monster or whatever was killing them was
this external force.
Correct.
You know, I had this very like Adam and Eve sort of thing, right, with like original sin. So like it was kind of like once you look, you can't unlook. Like you can't unsee, like, you know, like sometimes you're like, I can't unsee that, you know? Well, there's like, it's this thing where like, once you've lost this innocence, you can't unsee it. Like at least alone, like it's affected you and changed you forever. And I guess we sometimes don't realize the power of looking. What we put in our eyes, what we see, we can never unsee, and it affects us for the rest of our lives. And like realizing how scary it is when you can't see anything anymore, you know, and you're still trying to live and connect. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it was perfect, but I was thinking that there was a lot of that sort of like loss of innocence, that like contamination. Like if you look, it takes over.
So it's funny that you mentioned that because, you know, there's a sex scene in the movie, which again, I'm so tired of all these pointless sex scenes. Which,
I mean, I didn't think it was like gratuitous or anything. I don't even remember, quite honestly, because I'm pretty sure it happened while I was on the treadmill in a public place. And I was like, I'm on the treadmill, and I know that she walked in on people having sex, but I didn't see anything because it was kind of dark on my phone. So I was like, what just happened? And then I thought, quite honestly, when I was watching it, I thought it was that guy. The guy she ends up
Tom?
like, yeah, like I thought it was Tom, but Tom must have just been like nearby. And like, I thought she opened the door, there was like a sex scene going on. She's like, oh Jesus. She closes the door, and then Tom like comes out of that room. So I thought Tom was having sex with someone.
No.
But now looking back, I realized it was probably the two people that ditched everybody in the house.
Yeah, that's who it was. Unfortunately, they showed just enough, in my opinion, right, to make it like.
But I feel like
scandalous.
I feel like in the end of the world, I mean, like I feel like a lot of people, that would be their reaction. I mean, you know what I'm saying, like meaningless hookups with random people because they think the world's ending.
You know, you can insinuate it. You don't have to show it, and that's the issue I had. And then, but like kind of going back with what you're saying with the Adam and Eve analogy.
I think he said that. He goes, you can't unsee that.
You can't unsee that. And I'm like, that's so true. You can't unsee that. Thank you, Netflix, for every freaking thing that you put out. I have to like close my eyes and I can't unsee it, you know? Let me just watch something that doesn't have anything to do with it. Like everybody that's like, oh, I love Game of Thrones. I'm like, how do you watch that? Oh, it's good. I'm like, no, too much nudity.
Well, it's
too much naked.
I guess it's just like you just get, I mean,
pointless naked.
I think I must be like overly desensitized because it didn't strike me as odd, which probably just goes to your point that how it's like completely not point of the story. And it was like, it wouldn't have made the movie any more or less great, but it was just there. You know what I mean? It's like, and it like didn't bother me in fact, I didn't even notice it till you brought it up. Like I had to think back on it. And like you said, I didn't. I was in a public place while watching that scene.
Compared to other things that you can find on Netflix, it was very tastefully done.
Yes.
I mean, that's the best thing I can say. You know, I mean, it wasn't like full on nudity or frontals or anything like that, but it was still just enough that like you didn't need to, you know? I wonder if John Malkovich is a jerk in real life. He plays the same character in just about everything.
I mean, he does it really well. I'll give him that.
I was talking to Elise and telling her about the movie and the premise of it and all this stuff. And I was like, John Malkovich. She was like, who's that? And I was like, you remember Warm Bodies? And she was like, yeah. It's like he was the general, quote unquote, general dad from Warm Bodies. And she goes, oh, okay, yeah. And I was like, yeah, he actually pretty much played the same character. Yeah. As he did in Warm Bodies.
Well, I felt like his reaction to his wife, which we don't realize till later, but like it's his third wife. He really loves her. I just felt like the reaction of her running out in the street to go try to save the pregnant woman, like he did not act properly.
I thought it was a typical John Malkovich move.
Was it? I mean, because like if he really, just the remote amount of love, you would have ran after your wife and helped her get this pregnant woman in the house to get her in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he was standing outside of the house with a shotgun, and then he goes in the house with the shotgun and watches from the window inside while his wife gets burned alive.
Yeah.
And has very little reaction, like just standing there. Like he seemed like the psychopath.
Yeah.
He might have seen it all along. he may have been he may have already gone to the dark side before
Maybe.
he got into the house. He just wasn't, trying to get everyone else to look, I guess.
So one of the things I loved about the movie was, so I'm a big zombie movie guy. I don't do horror or gore or, I can do thrillers and stuff like that, but I just don't like horror movies. But zombie movies I love, because it's not really, to me, a horror movie. It's more of a like survival movie, right?
Which is all the rage. I mean, right? Like these apocalyptic type movies.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been going on for a while, but
So to me, this movie is kind of the anti-zombie movie. It's not really zombies out there, but if you took a zombie movie, Dawn of the Dead, and you just got rid of the zombies, you have these movies.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's very similar. It's just like it's like you said, it's like that apocalyptic running from the thing that's ending the world.
Right.
So
that's one thing I enjoyed about this movie and why I liked it so much is because of my fascination with the zombie flicks. What did you think about the ability for the creatures to pass through technology, pass through TV screens and video?
Yeah, I thought that seems kind of I don't know. It certainly, this goes to my point of just, it was unpredictable. I thought for sure he was going to see stuff, and then they were going to start using technology in order to maneuver around these things. And like, you're like, well, at least heat signature or whatever. But they never gave you anything about the creature. I mean, they just left it all up to your imagination. What it could do, what it couldn't do. Was it a being? Was it just invisible, translucent? Was it just a spirit? I mean, what the heck was it? Like, we have no idea.
No clue.
And it obviously was done on purpose, and I feel like that is what made it like original and interesting to watch, because I just kept thinking we were going to learn more and more about this thing and how to fight it, but no, it was just nothing.
My issue was the entire world is watching what's happening in Russia in the beginning of the movie. It's not just Mallory in her studio and her sister. It's not. It's the entire world's watching the news. Everybody knows what's going on. I would have thought that this would have affected everybody almost instantly, because if it could go through
technology, then in theory they would have caught it on one of the national news cameras. Maybe that's how it did spread. Maybe that's how it got to. Maybe it travels through the creature, because I mean, there is a spatial element to the creature, like whatever you want to call it.
No, there's not. It went through a freaking monitor, through a camera.
Well, no, it affected the person through the monitor, but it doesn't go inside. So like this quote unquote creature.
So just seeing the creature
has never gone in. Like, we don't know if it can go in a building, but it appears to not go in buildings. Like, it almost has to have direct access to like a satellite. I mean, or the sun or the moon or who knows.
Wasn't she inside and like hearing voices?
Oh, I'm sure it can speak through the walls at you. Yeah, like it comes at you.
Because, I mean, it goes through windows. All you have to do is, from my understanding, from what it looks like, all you have to do is be able to see the creature, and the creature needs to see you.
Through the window. Yeah, through a window. Mm-hmm. But doesn't come inside. I mean, when it moves, the wind moves, like you see the leaves like surround this thing, which makes you believe is like the entity by which you are afraid of. And how many of them are there and what it can do. I mean, it doesn't seem to be able to touch you. Like, it doesn't. You know what I mean? It's windy. I don't know. And the guy was drawing all those images of it. Like, do you see it? Like, because I feel like I think one of the interviews I watched with like the actors, like they had scenes with like glimpses of what you would see if you saw it.
Did you hear what they said it looked like? They actually filmed it. They said.
Yeah, I think there's deleted scenes where you can see, but like
I'm gonna air quote that. There's not really deleted scenes, and they're gonna be leaked in like 6 months to bring the movie back into relevance. They said, I think Sandra Bullock said, looking back at it, it looked like a long fat baby.
Interesting.
So I don't know what a long fat baby is.
I have no idea either, but I'm glad they didn't show nothing.
It's like a snake-like creature.
Because I think as soon as you show the creature, you've just, I don't know. I think the movie would have just like gone immediately. You literally just Googled long fat baby.
I did.
That is a fat baby. That
I'm
baby,
getting some good images up here.
that baby should not be that fat.
None of them are that long though. No, that parent should be punched in the face.
You don't know that baby. That's probably, first of all, that's photoshopped. Okay.
No, that's not photoshopped.
Dude, that big fat baby is photoshopped.
No, not photoshopped.
Yes.
That is what the creatures are from Bird Box.
They're big fat babies.
Here you go. The monster in Bird Box looked like, long fat baby with a green face.
Yeah. So luckily
I love how they have to say in this article, according to Star, Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
So my other question is, do you think cars can really do that? Like that scene when they go and drive to the grocery store?
Oh, with the proximity alerts?
Yeah, with the way, I didn't know proximity alerts like showed you on a screen. And I think they did that, if it doesn't happen, to facilitate what's happening. But
well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. The last time I went and drove a car, all these new, like, it tells you when the car's close in your lane. When you put your blinker on, if there's another car there, it starts blinking at you.
Yeah.
And you can see it on a screen. The car I was driving, like, it shows you a lane, and then it shows you a box of like where the car would be, like if it's in your blind spot or on the side, which I thought was so creepy. And then like you go to turn and it'll like actually give you resistance on the wheel, which, God, that whole thing is crazy. I bet you does your car do the automatic brake thing?
No.
Oh yeah. So now all the cars, and apparently it's like I don't know if it's being regulated.
My car just looks fancy. It's really not.
Well, when you drive these new cars, like if something jumps in the road, it doesn't like slam on the brakes, but it will deaccelerate. So you're pushing the gas and it's not going. And it's like, and your car's like slowing down. So
this would prevent a lot of this chaos that happened in Bird Box if they had these newer cars. Because she wasn't driving a new car. She was driving a wagon in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of car they got in.
I think they should have bought a Tesla, or should have, like, I think that's why this was a good commercial for Tesla.
Why?
Because they wouldn't even have to drive.
Oh, like just like a self-driving.
Just let Tesla handle it.
I feel like the Tesla would see a road of dead bodies and cars and just not drive down the road.
That's probably correct.
It's
you would probably have to hit the gas pedal.
Yeah, warning, crap everywhere.
Okay, I didn't think about the speed bumps. My bad.
But anyway, I think that it was interesting. I can't believe those people stole that car. They're so dead.
Well, that's Machine Gun Kelly, man. He's a little punk.
They gotta be dead. I have no idea who that is, by the way.
That's the guy from the movie.
I know, but like you said it, like I was supposed to know the name. Is he like a rapper or something?
He is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
He came out with a big diss track this past year against Eminem.
Oh, and then
big mistake.
And then Eminem like put him in his place.
Yeah,
I heard
like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I think I heard about that. Yeah, you try to pick a fight with somebody.
Yeah,
you know, a little less.
How lucky is Tom and Mallory to be both good-looking people?
Tom,
like, what are the odds?
Tom was a pretty good-looking guy. I'll give him
great-looking dude.
I would.
Sandra has not aged.
She has not aged. I'll give you that. Sandra Bullock looks the same as she did. She looks good.
As long as she doesn't pull a Meg Ryan, she's gonna look good forever. But yeah, I mean, what are the odds?
Like when you say pull a Meg Ryan, you mean like die and go become an angel? Sorry, that's probably the last movie.
Meg Ryan died?
No, that's the last movie that I watched. Was with Meg Ryan? Oh. Is the movie where like the fallen angel that she was like, you know, what was that? Nicolas Cage, yeah. And I'll be your crying. I don't even know that. That's not. That wasn't even the song.
No, it's not. It's
that's the wrong song for that movie.
It's the Goo Goo Dolls song.
It is a Goo Goo Dolls song. You're right, and I totally killed it. Now you can't remember it.
It's not Iris, is it? Anyway,
we'll throw that sound bite in later.
No, we'll just keep it. I'll be. All right, Gary. I knew from the time that Gary came in that he was from the mental institution that he said was attacking him. I don't know why. I just had this gut feeling. He was a little, I think the actor did a really good job of portraying somebody who was acting like he was a good guy,
Yeah, I mean, I
think I could tell like this guy's faking it, like there's something off.
I mean, I think up until that point, we'd never really seen I don't have we even do we even see any crazy people like we didn't know that there was like a certain people that weren't affected.
Yeah, they have at the grocery store.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. Like he was acting weird. Yeah.
Because even after he was like, man, come in. It's so beautiful. You know, because he was manipulating them to open the door. Like, just let me in. Please let me in. And so that's why because at the time, Tom doesn't know that there's people out there that
aren't affected. They just think everybody
dies. I don't know what they called them, but I started calling them lookers.
Interesting.
Like, they're able to look. So that's my tag. If no one else has called it that, guys, I'm calling them lookers.
Note it here.
Yes.
Will has invented a term like walkers. It's lookers.
Oh, I didn't even think about that because I don't watch that show.
Which you should, but that's besides the point.
That's the next episode. All right, so yeah, he doesn't even know there's lookers, so he keeps letting people in. But Olympia is the one that let Gary in.
Yeah, which I mean, she was also on the outside and was let in.
And this is where I have issues with the predictability of the show. Is because when she let him in, as soon as he came in, I was like, this guy's killing everybody. Or this guy's a bad guy. Let me say that at least. I didn't know he was going to kill everybody. Spoiler alert.
You figured somebody would survive. Well, I mean, somebody did, but not as few people as...
Yeah, 4 people survived.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So, John Malkovich comes out. I think his name was Douglas in the movie. He comes out...
Saves the day.
And no. Well, kind of.
I mean...
But at first, he tries to save the day, and...
He just did it in such an a-hole way. First of all, here's my big problem, okay? You bring Gary in, and you do what you would say to do, which is search his stuff, look for his wallet. Is the name on his wallet the same as the name that he gave you? What's he carrying? Because had you done the slightest bit of intel work, you know, oh, he has a folder full of crazy ass photos. Okay, he's insane. Throw him back on the street.
Correct.
You would lock him up. You know, I was totally with everyone else in the house. I was like, you're not shooting a random dude. You just walked in. You don't know what he is. You can't just start killing people.
See, that's funny because I was like, shoot that mofo.
Yeah.
I was like, put him out of his misery.
Yeah. I was like, no, you don't just kill you. You don't just devolve into nothing. Okay. You have to have a system. If that's all that's left in society are the a-holes as stated in the movie, then what's the point of having the society anymore? Is that even a world that you want to live in if you don't have dreams worth living for? Will?
I think you should have killed him.
I think you should have at least locked him up, waited a little bit, see if the crazy came out, searched his stuff, and then you would have come to the same conclusion without having to preemptively kill someone for no reason.
So one of the things I didn't like about the show is I think it seems like they left a lot of things up to our own like interpretation, but the way that they portrayed mental illness and how it seemed to affect.
Yeah, I feel like that's really offensive. Like they just first of all, the idea of just like putting all mental illness into like this old style of like crazy ward idea where you would just like lock up crazy people and let them be crazy
my whole thing, the reason why I found it offensive was the fact that like, do you know how many people are mentally ill?
Right, but
that are very high functioning.
Right. So it's like, is it just a certain type of illness? Is it just like a high version of?
It's only the
schizophrenic, but like a high, like, you know, people that are like intense. I mean, like
have you ever met somebody that was so frustratingly, difficultly impossible to deal with that would get hung up on a small little item or whatever, like in public? Like public freakouts. You ever watch those videos on YouTube? I'm like, those people have got to go to counseling.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that, well, I mean,
they're the ones I feel like would see the creature and be like, it's beautiful.
Right. I mean, it's almost like, you know, it left a lot up to our imagination. And I think really it's just like, to me, if random people aren't going to be affected, because I mean, they made a point to say that like you see your worst fear. But they've only mentioned that like once or twice. Like you see the thing you fear the most, and I heard that a lot in the interviews. Like that was obviously the intention when they first started to film the movie. But it's like obviously something else happens. It's total mind control. Like you see the creature, you blank out of reality, or you're starting to blank out of reality. Like Tom was able to still pull the trigger and shoot that dude before he blew his own brains out. But it's something.
Did you see the way the gun was facing? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, at the end. I'm sorry, I jumped to the end of the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he was just like, my point is that as it's taking over as you're losing the ability to control yourself, he still has enough in him to just fire that last shot.
Well, there's been yes,
and there's a lot of mind control type,
But there was stuff like when her sister died in the beginning of the movie, her sister turned back around and gave not like a look, but enough to look at her before she jumped in front of that truck.
Yeah, sort of
like she didn't have to look back at her, but she did. There's some kind of
that was just for
something.
Dramatic effect.
It probably was. It was probably because it was supposed to be like
speed bump.
Yeah.
Where's that GIF?
GIF.
It's
You're
GIF.
a GIFer.
You're a GIFer.
Graphic. Yes.
You just dead stared me in the thing.
I just saw a creature.
Yeah, you saw a creature, and now you're about to click out.
Gosh, I want to put this blindfold back on, dude. Yeah, it's a GIF.
GIF.
That's an.
That's another episode right there.
Yeah,
it's all right. I'm ready.
I thought it had some decent comic relief.
It's funny because I don't remember laughing once.
So there was parts where I did laugh. So they had the black dude who worked at the grocery store. His name was Charlie. That's right, Charlie. Oh, gosh, in my notes. Man, I left my notes at work, right? And I told you this before the show started. All right, so Charlie, and I got it wrong. I think I got it wrong. But in the moment, let me just bring out my theory on this. I thought that at one point in time they were trying to correlate Bird Box and Lost, the show Lost. Did you watch Lost?
Yes.
Okay. So like they had like the smoke monster, and that's what I thought the creatures were, and they were like, so Charlie in Lost kind of sacrifices himself to like save the day, and then Charlie.
Oh, interesting.
In Bird Box did the same thing at this point. And this is what I was thinking, like in the moment, right? And I was like, it must be like a smoke monster. Maybe they'll tie it all into Lost or something like that. I was totally wrong. That wasn't the case. Yeah. But anyway, same name, but whatever. But I don't think he saved the day.
What was the guy that he
creature got to him.
I can't get the guy's name from the grocery store who was his friend that was like infected.
Oh, what was his fish fingers? Something like that.
Fingers. Something about the name Fish Fingers. Like if there's ever an enemy, a villain to be feared, it's Fish Fingers.
But you heard what he said, like what Charlie had said. Like he's kind of like off the handle. Like he's nice to me.
Yeah, he's nice to me, but he was kind of there was something off about him. Yeah.
Fish Finger, that's his name.
Good old Fish Finger.
Yeah.
Oh, so he just has one finger that's I don't even want to know.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's.
I don't even want to know. I just thought
of course, Netflix. I'm just joking. Whoever wrote the book. So anyway, he was part of the comic relief. Charlie was.
Yeah, I didn't feel like Charlie was good comic relief. I actually thought Charlie.
It doesn't necessarily mean you have to laugh. It just broke the tension.
Right. I thought Charlie's sort of like theories, like somehow that was going to play out. Like he was going to use. I
didn't want him to die.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to die either. I'm telling you, I thought he was going to be the guy who his crazy theories about the end of the world and watching all these like nerdy films or mythological crazy conspiracy theories on the internet was going to somehow prove true, and he was going to come up with some way to like cover yourself in like salt and garlic and get past the monsters, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And like no, nothing, just Charlie dead. Now, and so is his novel. One less novel we have to read.
That's right. That's a book on tape.
And like the funny part is like he's still trying to write the book and saying like what his book's going to be like, and I'm like, dude, there is no book. No one's ever going to read your book because there's no more printing press. Like the whole world's like going is going.
Yeah, it's gone.
You are very unlikely to survive, and if you are, you're not writing a book and no one's reading it.
Right. So
get with the program, dude.
I found there to be some. Now, towards the end, there really wasn't necessarily comic relief or anything like that, but there was. In the beginning, I felt like in the house there was light. Let me just say lighter moods, right? Now, boy and girl. The kids being named boy and girl, not being given a traditional name, right?
Very interesting. Those kids need lots of therapy.
I correlated that with somebody that has been through miscarriage and gets pregnant again and is like a scared
it's like
to name the baby in the event that it's not going to make it. Like as if you have like a list of good names, and you don't want to waste them. Not waste them. That's a bad way of looking at it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, like if I have a kid and it's a boy, I would like to name him after me, but there's always that fear, like of getting pregnant and miscarrying.
Yeah.
Do we start calling him William now, or did they wait to be born? I personally believe in waiting till they're born in general, because it just seemed like kind of biblical, like the father would come out and name Zachariah or whatever he named him.
His name will be
Jared.
Jared with an I.
Yes.
I spell how I want to spell.
Jared.
We will spell it with a G like Jif.
Jared.
And we will spell it Jared.
Yeah. But it was just it was weird that they not weird, but I understood why she called them boy and girl, because she didn't want to get attached, because I'm making the assumption that she was assuming they were just going to die anyway.
Right, but yet everything she did in the entire movie, and I mean, of course, we missed like the entire 5 years of their growing up. We just completely miss.
Which sounds like more of an interesting.
Yeah, like, and it's funny because they were I saw an article about like the inevitable, sequel. Yeah, and I'm thinking like, I mean, if there was ever a sequel that had a chance of being terrible, it's probably the sequel to Bird Box, but. Yeah, it may be, to me, quote unquote sequel. I think it would be more interesting those 5 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, in how, I mean, you have a love story. You actually have good times. Like it almost seems like there were like years of bliss. Not bliss. It might have been terrible because they certainly weren't. But I mean, something happened for those 5 years that we just don't know. Because I mean, we saw like the first week and then 5 years later.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we just missed the entire like growing up of these children and their relationship between Tom and Mallory, because I don't even think their relationship even started in that first like series. I mean, yeah, he was like, "Oh, you're really hot," like in the grocery store. She's like, "Yeah," because there's no other.
There was some flirting and stuff going on.
Yeah. I mean, well, but
you knew if they were to survive, they would have hooked up.
Right. I mean, hey, it's the end of the world. It's like, look, we're the last two people left. It's our responsibility to raise these kids and populate the planet again.
But they weren't populating the planet again. They had 5 years.
Well, I mean, yeah, that would have been awkward.
I know. There was a scene. I just brain farted. I think I just saw a creature.
You just saw, wow.
There's like a blindfold on my brain.
And then I'll have to post this, and Will loses it.
I know. Okay, well, I'll skip that part because I don't remember what I was going to say.
So the whole movie, I am thinking, literally, I wrote this down in my notes, which was, where are all the blind people? Like, I was like, the blind people have clearly survived. That's what I was about to get into. And I was like, they should be in charge. Like, they should be running things, like posting stuff online, like having radio free. Like, these people should be running the world. Like, I mean, blind people, like, have been waiting this whole time. And then I kept thinking, where the hell is Daredevil? Like, if there was ever a time of a beast to attack humanity, Daredevil would be the person who would be able to come save the day.
So, question.
Yeah.
Blind people can't see. Correct?
Well, there's different levels of...
So, right.
There's different level of blindness, but if you notice in the blindfolds, it's probably like you can see a little bit. So, like, you have to be able to see... I don't know what the ratio is, but, like, you do have to have a clear line of sight. I don't know if it's 20/20, but you have to have, like, a semi-clear...
That's a good point. Good point. I feel like if Personally, if we were wearing those blindfolds, you'd be able to see a lot more clearer than the camera portrayed. But no, I see what you're saying. Okay, that answers my question, because to me, Daredevil could see.
Well, at least in the I don't. Yeah, I mean, he
just didn't use his eyes to see.
Right. But
he was seeing.
Well, yeah, but it was like, yeah, I mean, it was supernatural in the way
he was seeing in the brain.
Right, he was in the way that he was able. But if you were still and quiet, it was more like heat signatures, or like, you know what I mean, like the vibrations of and like being able to, like, you know, project what that would look like and how far away it is.
Yeah,
and, you know.
But no, I mean, I did see a meme of someone saying, like, you know, it's too bad they canceled Daredevil this past year, because he would have saved the day.
Yeah,
those creatures wouldn't have had anything on them.
I like Daredevil. My wife doesn't want to watch it anymore. No. I love it, and now it's canceled, and I'm gonna cry.
So they finally get to their sanctuary at the end, and of course it's a school for the blind.
And I was like,
that has a bird sanctuary in it. Oh, how convenient! And the freaking doctor, the OBGYN from the beginning of the movie, is there.
Look, I will have to say, I was like, there's no way that OBGYN would have made it. Like, how did she make it there? I realize we have no idea what happened to her, but it's like, she just did not seem like a survivor.
Do you know how long it was from the time we saw her in the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie? It was about
5 years.
About a year and a half. I mean, about an hour and a half time.
Yeah.
But when Mallory was like, oh, Dr. So-and-so, whatever her name is, I was like, how does she know this person?
Well, I got the impression they were all friends. Like, when I watched the movie, I thought they were all three friends, like friends from high school. Like, she knew the doctor, and the doctor knew her from somewhere else. But it doesn't. But that's probably untrue. But I just got that impression from the way they were speaking to each other. It wasn't a typical doctor, like, patient relationship.
Maybe
like,
you're right.
I felt like they knew each other from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, they were just friends. So they had like more of a natural banter, which is probably why, like, the whole even referencing adoption thing was a little more natural, because it was like, we're friends. You know what I mean? So, like, just letting you know that, like, she knew, anyway. But I don't know whether that was true. But at the end, she says her full name. She's like, Mallory, whatever the heck her last name was. And she's like, Doctor whatever, which, had they been, I mean, I don't know. They might call, like, I don't know. But anyway, I had the for some reason, the thought that somehow they knew each other. And of course, Rick would be a blind guy. So,
oh yeah.
So it was great. Blind people take over the world. It's awesome. They finally get a movie where they're the heroes. And then, but one of the lines that I'm just going to throw out there. So, surviving is not living. And this is like a theme.
True.
This is a theme in most apocalyptic films. I mean, this is like a theme in Walking Dead. This is a theme whenever the world is ending and somebody's trying to rebuild society. It's like, surviving is not enough. It's not enough to eat enough food to live.
Yeah.
There has to be something more to live for. You know, like, living, like, we're not, like, that is the definitionally difference between animals and humans. Like, we don't need food and water to survive. Like, we need so much more than that.